The original video this analysis will comment on is based upon copyrighted work belonging in part to the party mentioned in the title of the video. As such, it is subject to copyright laws in all jurisdictions where applicable. I therefore cite both US Copyright Act Title 17512, subsections G and F, and UK Copyright Designs and Patents Act 1988, Chapter 48, Part 1, Section 79.4a, where both of these separate acts cover the use of copyrighted video for the purposes of comment and criticism under US and UK fair use clauses respectively. Any attempt to remove this video under DMCA legislation will be met with counterclaim responses, and should this matter be pursued by the filers of any DMCA takedown notice, this matter will be pursued by myself to the fullest extent permitted by law. Censorship is not a valid argument.
So I wanted Dr. Werner, since I can't give this homeopathic lecture alone, she has to talk about her homeopathic experience. Because we both discovered homeopathy independently. So I think it's kind of interesting. Another eye doctor here who didn't use homeopathy.
This is not the most professional start. Not that this is relevant to the points that I'll be addressing, but it does highlight their lack of effort in the presentation of the talk, which draws attention to the possibility that the talk itself might have had a similar level of effort put into it, as we will see shortly.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to explain to you exactly actually how it works. Now, has everybody had chemistry like in school way back when?
Yes, chemistry and physics. And that's how I know this talk is going to be a disaster. Yeah, duh.
Okay, but you do know what H2O is. Okay, and have all of you heard of Einstein?
Some of you may know these facts already, but just in case. Water is composed of 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. To be more specific, water is a compound molecule of 2 hydrogen atoms with 1 oxygen atom. It is not a mixture, it is a liquid comprised of a compound molecular structure. Einstein should also go without saying. He is one of the most important scientists of the 20th century, having made several important discoveries in cosmological physics. These 2 facts will be important in addressing what we are about to see vomited forth from Dr. Werner in a little while.
Okay, now you know that when light is energy, right?
More specifically, light is electromagnetic radiation. Visible light exists in a specific wavelength and frequency range, and is a form of energy.
Okay, and he gave us the theory that energy equals mass times the speed of light. Einstein
didn't give us E equals mc squared. Einstein made the discovery that energy is the squared result of mass multiplied by the speed of light. In other words, the energy contained within an object will always equate to its mass multiplied by light speed. This has always been the case. Einstein didn't make it happen.
E equals mc squared.
We get it already.
Okay, now, if you take that formula, and we think there's a lot of mass, right?
Wait for it. Red herring inbound.
Okay, if you collapsed all the mass down into the universe, so there was no space between the mass.
So you would collapse the electromagnetic force and both the strong and weak nuclear forces that are fundamental laws of physics that underpin our universe. Okay.
Do you know how much mass there is in the entire universe?
Several sources within the scientific community have corroborated the commonly assumed estimate that the observable universe is comprised of some 1.45 times 10 to the power of 50 tons of matter. This does not include dark matter or dark energy sources. This figure can be extrapolated to approximately 10 to the power of 80 atoms, assuming they are all hydrogen atoms. In reality, these hydrogen atoms account for 74% of all atoms in the universe by atomic mass.
You think you're a lot of mass, right? Yeah. I'm a lot of mass, right?
I'm
this building is
more than you are.
Okay. Well, the whole universal mass can be consolidated down into the size of a bowling ball.
How is this relevant? What is your point?
That's all there is in the whole world and the universe. So, how much mass are you?
Again, what is your point?
That's right, an infinitesimal amount. So if you took that formula, E equals mc squared, you can almost cross out mass.
Incorrect. Just because you can consolidate energy in the universe and derive an equation representing the relationship between mass and energy does not mean that you can almost cross out all mass. This is mindless word salad.
So the formula ends up being energy equals the speed of light.
Wrong again. Taking the equation E equals mc squared, no mass times the speed of light equals no energy.
Okay, and that's why the vision system is so important, because we have lots of photoreceptors that receive light.
Arguably this is a non sequitur, but what does this have to do with homeopathy again?
But when Hahnemann died, the scientists didn't fall in his camp, okay, and the pieces of the puzzle didn't fit well together.
Is Dr. Werner poisoning the well now? I'm not sure.
So God in his infinite wisdom sent him another Einstein.
Now we have gone from the realms of science to theology. Wonderful.
Called Stephen Hawking's.
That's Professor Stephen Hawking. Among the many contributions the professor has made to modern science are several papers on the subject of black holes. He is one of the most impressive theoretical physicists on the planet, and I don't believe that he would be impressed by some fraudulent charlatan claiming that he gives any credence to their claims. Right-wing politicians in the USA did something similar by claiming that he would never have lived to be the renowned physicist that he is had he relied on the NHS in his home country, the United Kingdom, where I live. He then publicly disclaimed this nonsense of theirs, stating that the NHS had in fact taken great care of him over the course of his life, and that he would not be here were it not for them.
Okay, Stephen Hawking gave us the string theory.
Once again, that's Professor Stephen Hawking. And he didn't give us anything. He made some very important discoveries. They were always there.
And what he discovered is that there are other energetic particles in the universe.
The air quotes are annoying. Apart from anything else, the language the scientists who conduct these experiments uses is chosen very carefully. There's a reason for this. It's so that people like this are not given any credibility when they quote them out of context, or reword their statements in layman's terms, but do so using incorrect or misleading language.
And they're shaped like little U's. And what they do is they work by vibration. So our body is so wonderfully designed.
No, we evolved. Despite the fact that we are now capable of bypassing natural selection through the use of technology and knowledge, we are still the product of billions of years of natural selection and genetic mutation. There was no design involved.
We have light receivers and we have ears.
Either state that we have optical receptors and auditory sensing equipment, or state we have eyes and ears. Don't start mixing terminology and using grandiose statements in an attempt to portray the belief that you are smarter than most people. It doesn't work.
String, vibratory, they pick up vibration. So if you added to that theory, Einstein's theory of relativity, we have E equals mc squared, but mass is crossed out almost.
Repeating an error does not correct it.
And strings, vibration.
If you are going to make a statement regarding string theory, it would behoove you to carry out some basic research first. Apart from anything else, string theory is currently open to debate as to its veracity in being an explanation of everything in the universe, with Professor Stephen Hawking being a supporter for its candidacy, and other notables such as the late Richard Feynman being a critic of such an application. As to the statement regarding Dr. Werner's vibrations, I have to ask, what is she talking about? It seems as though she's conflating the wording used in the theory, specifically the word string, with a layman's description of what a string does, vibrate when tension is applied and released. However, this is not why string theory was named. More details are provided in the info box.
But that still doesn't tell us the whole picture, because what is a cell?
So now we have gone from strings to cellular discussions. In other words, we have taken an almighty leap from theoretical physics into the realms of biological science.
Right? Okay, so a cell has cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm.
While this may be true today for practically all cells, this has not always been the case. Studying the evolution of cells over the course of life on this planet would have told you this.
Is that mass?
Yes.
Not very much, really, right? So
No, it's not so. Wait a minute. Not very much is not the same thing as nothing. And again, what is your point?
What is that?
I'm sure you're going to astound us with your utterly irrelevant revelation.
You can break down the cells into tiny pieces of energy.
Just as you can break down any object, regardless of its mass, into tiny pieces of energy, if you have the knowledge and the ability to apply this knowledge to the task. Again, what's the point?
Called electrons, protons, neutrons, right?
And?
Okay, so the whole body has an infinitesimal amount of mass.
First of all, that's infinitesimal, not infinitesimal. Secondly, the statement is only true from the perspective of the entire universe, in the same way that a 50-ton boulder has an infinitesimal amount of mass in relation to the entire universe. But let's see you try lifting one. It's all relative and does nothing to bolster the point I'm sure that this individual is going to make.
But what is the remainder?
Dr. Werner, are you sure you're not related to Dr. Tiller? Or maybe Mr. Hagelin? I mean, are we ever going to get to the point?
Energy.
Oh dear.
So I am energy, you are energy.
Once again, this is meaningless word salad. Every mass in the universe can be described as energy. It's not because they are comprised of more energy than mass, and it's not because there's some all-powerful ability to tap into the free-flowing energy in the universe. In fact, as I alluded to when I did a critical analysis of What the Bleep, the sum total of energy that is not the result of interactions between masses in the universe, or the result of the initial expansion of the universe, are infinitesimal compared to the energy output of the masses themselves as they exist in the universe. Black holes arguably contain more energy than anything else in existence, but they also have a huge amount of density, meaning that any energy caught in their gravity well is trapped, including visible light.
Okay, now if you go to study physics,
Which it would appear Dr. Werner here did not.
energy cannot be created. We do not know how to create energy.
And so, once again, we have another red herring.
But we don't know how to destroy it either.
And another. Notwithstanding the fact that it's not about knowledge, it's about the fundamental nature of space-time and the relationship between mass and energy. You know, a course in thermodynamics might be a good place to start.
That is not humanly possible. So what we do is we take energy and we transform it from one state to another.
And yet another red herring.
That's all we do. So if that's all we do, guess what the definition of disease is?
Please prepare your heads for the inevitable head desking that will occur within the next few seconds. I cannot assume responsibility for injury or death resulting from failure to heed this warning. Thank you.
It's not mass.
According to Wikipedia, a disease is an abnormal condition that affects the body of an organism. It is often construed as a medical condition associated with specific symptoms and signs. It may be caused by factors originally from an external source, such as infectious disease, or it may be caused by internal dysfunctions, such as autoimmune disease. In humans, disease is often used more broadly to refer to any condition that causes pain, dysfunction, distress, social problems, or death to the person afflicted, or similar problems for those in contact with the person. In this broader sense, it sometimes includes injuries, disabilities, disorders, syndromes, infections, isolated symptoms, deviant behaviors, and atypical variations of structure and function, while in other contexts and for other purposes, these may be considered distinguishable categories. Diseases usually affect people not only physically but also emotionally, as contracting and living with many diseases can alter one's perspective on life and one's personality.
We have transformed our energy state into something different.
I don't suppose one would like to propose the mechanism by how this was achieved. Medical science is the gargantuan effort in trying to identify diseases and their treatment. This nonsense absolutely does not help.
That's what the definition of disease is.
Again, repeating an error does not correct it.
Okay? So we should be able to retransform our energy into a previous better state.
In other words, we just wish ourselves back into health. Noted.
Right? And what we do is we use light, we can use sound, we can use homeopathy.
Wonderful. Dr. Werner. But at least we finally got to the point.
Okay, so what is homeopathy?
Homeopathy is a system of alternative medicine that was initially based on the doctrine of like cures like, proposed by Samuel Hahnemann in 1796. In modern usage, it is the use of medicines that are diluted to such an extent that none of the original active ingredient is left in the medicine being provided to the consumer. Again, the layman's word on this is more than sufficient to cover what I have not included here.
Okay, if nothing is really mass, or an infinitesimal amount of it, and everything is energy,
and once again, repeating an error, blah 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 blah.
that means everything has a vibration to it.
Repeating an error does not correct it. More specifically, if everything is comprised of energy and almost no mass, then everything has a vibration to it is a non sequitur, because the conclusion does not follow the premise.
Okay, so what if I could encase some sort of energy for later use?
You can. In electricity, it's called a battery. In terms of biology, it's called food. In both cases, it requires a mass to store the energy. Congratulations on contradicting your earlier statement about energy being independent of mass to the point that we are all energy.
Okay, so if I wanted to make a bomb, and I took all these chemicals and I encased it in a
container of some kind, shell housing, box. It's just off the top of my head.
Bomb.
Yes, let's contain a bomb within a bomb. Such is the logic of quacks.
Okay, and tonight my neighbor lets his dog poop in my yard.
Come here, Fido. Come here, boy. Come on. Come here.
Literally, okay, and I'm mad at that dog and my neighbor. So I'm going to take this bomb and I'm going to get back at him. So what if I threw that bomb at his house? Would he be happy with me?
Hello, is that the place? Yeah, we just had a bomb go off outside someone's house. Some crazy woman is jumping up and down on the grass going on about how she got her revenge. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's alive in there. The house is a blazing inferno. I think there were a couple of people in there. You said someone down as soon as possible, please.
Because what happens now when that energy is released? It destroys something, right? Or changes it. It makes the building now not in structure form. It changes its energetic state.
I'm sorry, what? This is worse than a creationist who claims that a tornado cannot build a 747 as an argument against evolutionary biology. And it's just as vapid and pointless. Notwithstanding the fact that in every case there are specific processes involved, that the controlled release of energy is far less destructive than a sudden explosive release, regardless of the materials used, and that it's not just the energy, it's mass. An explosion of heat alone is unlikely to cause as much damage as the same amount of energy exploding while it's surrounded by a package of shrapnel and nails.
Well, that's what we can do with homeopathy. We take substances, and what we do is we pulverize them, and we put them in solution, and we succuss it just like the bomb. We threw the bomb to release its energy into this liquid, and then we take these little white pellets, we sprinkle them with that solution, and guess what we have just made? An energetic substance to be used when we choose to use it.
Dr. Werner's description of homeopathy is completely incorrect. The process to make this medicine is to take an active ingredient and repeatedly dilute it according to a table of dilutions. For example, 1C might be 1 part to 100 parts of water or sugar. 50C is 1 part to 100 parts of the same material, with the resulting solution itself subject to 1 part in itself to 100 parts of water or sugar, repeated a further 48 times. For reference, 2C is 1 part active ingredient to 10,000 parts water or sugar, depending on if it's in pill or liquid form. Only in homeopathy will you find the ridiculous notion that diluting a solution increases the potency of the medicine. Whether someone uses a sugar pill or water-based solution, the result is the same.
Okay, so how homeopathy works is whatever your disease process is, it's an energetic change, and if I can find the remedy that matches your state and give it to you when we so choose, what can we do with your energy system?
Make someone feel better? The problem is that it's nothing more than a placebo. This is not changed by the fact that Dr. Werner used a big fat red herring involving Einsteinian and quantum physics at the beginning of a talk.
Transform it to a previous better state.
And this sugar pill or water solution knows this previous better state how exactly?
And that's how it works.
In other words, it doesn't work at all.
Okay. I have a couple of stories too. So every single one of us vibrates with a certain vibration, and so we either vibrate with a plant, a mineral, or an animal.
I'm sorry, I can't, I'm sorry, no.
Okay, and the way we talk, the way we interact with people, that's how we are. Okay, so I had a patient that came in and says, I have a squeaky knee, like a hinge. It squeaks. And he had some other insulin resistant, kind of going toward diabetes state. And he said, can you help me?
Excellent. Let's give you sugar pills to help you with your diabetes.
So I said, I don't know.
You know, that's probably the only true and correct statements Dr. Werner has ever made.
So we took his case, and he said, you know, I would like to think that I am a man of my word.
Okay, and what's the relevance?
And that's how I want people to treat me. I want them to be a man of their word. Well, if you research in the homeopathic remedies, there is a remedy called Kali Carbonica. And do you know what those people are? I am a man of my word.
You know, you might as well say that history means his story, and therefore the Bible must be true. Or you could even say that the universe is a single spoken sentence. Of course, in doing so, you'd be ignoring what the words are actually derived from, to say nothing of ignoring the evidential implications of the underlying meanings of such words.
So I gave him in 30C. Actually, we started with 30C.
In other words, you diluted a mixture of 1 part in 100 no less on 30 occasions, meaning he was given, you guessed it, sugar pills. There's controversy, but I like low remedies in physical symptoms, and then you go up for mental symptoms. And so we gave him a 30C, and 4 weeks later he said, I'm fine. He stopped his sugar cravings, his squeaky knee went away, and that's been almost a year. Then I must give my congratulations to the individual in overcoming his own craving to sugar on his own, possibly helped by taking sugar pills as a regimen. This in turn probably helped alleviate the symptoms of his squeaky knee. These people, and Dr. Werner, certainly don't deserve any credit, that's for sure.
On that one tiny little pellet. And that's how it's so miraculous. It's so exciting. Anyway, thank you very much.
If there was ever any doubt that this kind of nonsense is more like a religion than science, these words at the end should have dispelled all such doubt. Thank you for listening.